Back to politics now, as Texas Democrat Wendy Davis is now doubling down on her controversial wheelchair ad, targeting her Republican opponent, the Attorney General Greg Abbott, in a very heated battle going on there for governor. Here is part of the original Wendy Davis ad.
A tree fell on Greg Abbott. He sued and got millions. Since then, he spent his career working against other victims. Abbott argued a woman whose leg was amputated was not disabled because she had an artificial limb.
Then she had a news conference yesterday. She got a lot of flack for that ad, but she basically doubled down on it. She has two supporters who were in wheelchairs who joined her at the podium as she repeatedly defended this attack ad. Watch this.
Greg Abbott has built a career kicking the ladder down behind him and denying to others the very same justice that he both deserved and received. We need to call this what it is: hypocrisy.
Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott joins me now, Attorney General of Texas. Good to have you here today, sir. What was your reaction? Welcome. What was your reaction when you first saw the first ad?
Well, listen, my first reaction is it was an act of desperation. Martha, this is the same type of commercial that we're seeing now by the Democrats across the country, where they are saying things like Republicans are responsible for Ebola. They lead to these hyperbole exaggeration ads as we're closing out the campaign. But listen, Martha, my focus is on running a positive campaign. I am the only candidate who is casting a vision for a better future for the state of Texas. And if my opponent wants to attack a guy in a wheelchair, she can do that. But it's not going to point out the way in which Texas can be a better place by doing things like by increasing jobs, by improving our roads, by improving our schools, and by preventing Barack Obama's agenda from taking over Texas. And in fact, Martha, I got to tell you, I think it's that latter point that's the reason why she's running this ad. She doesn't have anything to run on herself because she knows that she is connected with Barack Obama's big government agenda of raising taxes and imposing heavy-handed regulations that will crush the jobs in Texas.
Well,
so she has
you may
nothing
be
left to
right
do other
that
than
she's
to
in
attack
a
me.
difficult political situation. Let's pull up the most recent poll. This is the Real Clear Politics average of polls, and it shows you with a pretty strong lead here, 51.3%. She is at 40%. So she got a lot of heat for that ad. And then she came out yesterday, as we pointed out in the introduction here, with some people in wheelchairs. Basically, she's saying Greg Abbott is telling you all of these things about himself, but her point is that she's calling you a hypocrite. She says that you haven't stood up for people who've been in a similar situation than you have been in. Do you want to respond to that?
I'll be happy to, because it is completely absurd. There is no attorney general in the history of the state of Texas who has done more for those who are victims. I have handed out almost $500 million, that's with a B, $500 million to those who have been victims. I set up an entire new unit to crack down on those who commit sexual assault, and I've taken 4,500 sex offenders off the streets. On that one example that she brought up at first, you need to understand it was a jury of her peers, not me, who decided that that woman was unable to recover. And so all of these claims are just as absurd as the claims that we've seen from the Democrats saying that Republicans are responsible for Ebola. Yeah. Everything she has in there has been proven false already. But I'm going to not worry about that. I'm going to worry about my fellow Texans and what they really need in this state, and that is to secure our border, to create jobs, and to build roads.
One of the things I find really interesting, there was a reference that she made earlier in the campaign about standing up, and people said that they thought that was kind of a veiled reference to the fact that you were in a wheelchair. I think there were so many people in the larger country who had no idea that you were in a wheelchair until she kept pointing it out, which I think is just interesting, don't you?
Well, even worse, Martha, and that is that some of the people connected with her group, Battleground Texas, were caught on videotape snickering about her Stand With Wendy campaign because her opponent is in a wheelchair. How is that going to work out? It's very offensive.
Greg Abbott, thank you very much for being here, and we look forward to watching this race as it unfolds in the coming weeks. Thank you very much.